Hello and welcome to tonight's ghostly tale. Tonight's ghostly tale comes from Tynemouth Priory. The priory sits on the north side of the Tyne River as it enters in from the North Sea. There, overlooking the North Sea, is a priory, a castle and an old artillery battlement from the First or Second World War. This was to defend off the Germans in any invasion attempt. Now, hundreds of years before the Germans, there was other invasions, and this was the Vikings. The Vikings used to sail over from the north, over the northeast, and using the Tyne River, they would sail up, raiding, raping and pillaging as they went. But many a time, they would take the easy route and just raid the priory at the Tynemouth. On one such raid, one of the Vikings was left for dead by his fellow Vikings, and this was Olaf. After the battle had finished and the Vikings had gone, the monks who had survived came down the beach to see if there was any survivors. Of the survivors, Olaf was found. He was taken back to the priory and nursed back to health. Because of this kind deed, what the monks had done for him, Olaf swore an oath to become a monk and protect them in the future. Now, he spent many years in the priory, becoming a great monk and an asset to the monastery. Years later, there was another raid from the Vikings coming for the gold that was said to be stored in Tynemouth Priory. Olaf, when he heard this, grabbed his sword and ran straight down to the beach. And as the first Viking jumped off the ship, Olaf ran at them and battled him, killing him. Then he shouted, "Leave this village alone. This is my village now. I am a fellow Viking, and this is mine. If you raid here, you are raiding one of your own." Some of the men on the boats realised who it was, and one of them, a friend from the past, got off and started talking to him. They agreed they would not raid the priory again and would leave it, but he also had to tell Olaf some devastating news. It had been many years since Olaf had seen any fellow Vikings, and it had been many years since he'd seen his older brother. He hadn't recognised his older brother, and his older brother was the first Viking off the ship. Olaf had killed his older brother. In grief, Olaf left and went back to the priory, where he spent the rest of his days praying for forgiveness from his brother in the chapel at the priory. Now, jumping in the future, many people have visited the priory at North Shields, and there is reports of people seeing a tall man walking about, or a tall man who's seen in the chapel. He seems to be in prayer when they approach, and he is and just disappears. At night time, there's also said to be a figure of a monk walking around. He is supposed to be a tall monk. Could this be Olaf, still in grief, still wandering, and still seeking forgiveness from his brother? Hope you enjoyed, and good night.